Yesterday's race in Indonesia saw Porsche's Pascal Wehrlein claw his way back to within 2 points of the championship lead with a win in Jakarta.
And that puts the championship battle right up together again.
Nick Cassidy still leads the way by the finest of margins, despite a big scare.
Contact between the two, he's nearly spun it.
But it was a bad day at the office for Jaguar. Mitch Evans taken out by his own teammate for the second time this season.
I'm out. Sam just took me out.
Guys, I'm so sorry.
And after yesterday's energy-sapping white-knuckle ride, we get to go again in Jakarta for round 11 of the Formula E World Championship. Less than 24 hours after the checkered flag fell in round 10, we will find out who will take a giant leap towards the greatest prize in electric motorsport and who will wilt under the heat of the Indonesian sun. Welcome to the Gulavit Jakarta E-Prix.
Formula E returns to Jakarta. The Jaguars collide.
Oh, yes!
He's down the inside. Oh.
What a difference a day makes. It's day 2 of the Jakarta E-Prix doubleheader, which means we get to go again in round 11 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. Now, the sensible money says that yesterday's 8 title protagonists have now been reduced to just 5. And such is the closeness and such is the unpredictability of this championship, not to mention there are just 6 races left. That means that potentially one other will fall today. The question is who and the question is when. Delighted as ever to be joined Nelson Piquet Jr., the first ever Formula E champion, and Oliver Askew, the first ever man who wears such a suit that looks delightful, it has to be said. But let's get straight down to the business here. Nick Cassidy, the championship leader, 5 rows back. He's in P10, leading the championship by 2 points. Will he still be the championship leader at the end of play today?
To be honest, I just don't think he has the equipment to this weekend to contend for a podium position. And he's starting in P10. It's a very vulnerable place to be. It's the last points paying position.
Let's also talk about this man behind us here. In fact, on the other side there, Mitch Evans, currently in P3, had the nightmare scenario, Nelson, of being wiped out by his own teammate. He needs a huge performance today.
I mean, he's already accomplished a very good result starting P3. We know that the Jag powertrain over here has not been showing much performance. Yesterday, they weren't very strong. He managed to qualify a good 3rd place, which is going to save him a lot of points. So that was the incident yesterday. Unfortunately, he got taken out by Sam again, one more time. Such a shame. I mean, I know Sam didn't do that on purpose, but it just, you know, a mistake, a silly mistake, which cost the team a lot of points. And yeah, but he's here starting 3rd today, so I'm sure he's going to score. He's going to be in very good form today.
We're going to talk about an incident here, guys, because you guys are the perfect people to talk about this. 2 former drivers. What took place is Jake Dennis, who's currently behind me there in P2. Now, in yesterday's race, he finished 2nd to the eventual winner, Pascal Wehrlein. I hope you can hear me because we can't even hear ourselves think, by the way. Now, it was an incident which lots of people have been talking about on social media. Jake was livid about it. He was vocal. What do you guys think? Who was at fault here?
I think they were lucky not to come together. Jake did a very good job to back off. And yeah, in my opinion, Pascal, you know, he just moved in reaction to the attacking car behind. And lucky for that. Lucky for him not to go away with a penalty, in all honesty.
My opinion, 2 laps to go. You're fighting for the leads.
Yes.
It's hands out over there, and they are going to be defending position. They're going to be tough. They're going to be aggressive. And that's what we want to see. We want to see them fight for position. We want to see them really deserve it. So, I mean, he wasn't going to make it easy, and it's not going to be easy today. He's on a mission, and I'm putting my bets.
Oh, you were going to say your
here.
house, then you backed out last minute, rightfully so. Now, when heads were slightly cooler, talking about Jake Dennis, he caught up with Saunders of Carmichael Brown ahead of this weekend.
So this looks like a nice spot for a chat.
It's all set up perfectly.
I know, what are the odds? I kind of want to look back at your season sort of being an all or nothing. It's either been a podium or no points. So what do you put that down to?
We've been a bit unlucky this year. You know, we got taken out 3 times, and then we obviously had the crash in Berlin, and then I had the tyre pressure issue in Cape Town. Out of my control, but I still had to wake up each day and go to the gym and put in the motivation, do all the simulator days and strict on diet, eating like 1,000 calories a day, every day to try and hit the weight limit. And then you go to India, get taken out again, and then it's just a repeat.
People are incapable of using the brakes.
And then all my other races were great and finished on the podium. So it's been podium or nothing.
India, where you were, in your own words, was it rasted?
Yeah.
And Sao Paulo, where you had an incident with Dan Dixon. And what did you call him?
Plonker. Like, literally after India, I was fine. Brass came up to me immediately and apologised. And then I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, we all make mistakes. It was just the way Ticton went about it and said that it was basically never his fault. And I always try and make sure I put a car in between me and him as quickly as possible. I did it in Monaco. It was like Ticton, me, and then Sasha. And then as soon as I came up behind Sasha, it was I passed him. 4 laps later, he just drove straight into the back of Sasha and could have gave him a puncture. So I just want as many cars in between me and Dan as possible. Off track, me and Dan get along fine. It was just on track, we always have our differences, for sure.
Looking right to the end of the season, are you already thinking about the moment standing on top of the podium and potentially standing on top of the podium again with a World Championship title?
I've definitely thought about London, but mainly just performing well. You know, we've had really good years there in the past. And I think if the championship's the way it is, whoever wins in London will probably come out champion. It's a super cool event. It's the best event of the year. Hopefully I can hear the crowd this year. I feel like it's going to be even bigger. Cheer for me.
But you've got to do it this weekend first. Big double header, big points up for grabs.
Just need to go out and smash it.
Jake, legend. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
That was a proper deep dive and perform. He did. A podium yesterday, currently second on the grid today. Can he improve on yesterday's performance? Well, I'll tell you what, he's doing it with lots of smiles, lots of energy, lots of fervour here in the beautiful Indonesian capital for the Gulavit Jakarta E-Prix.
Last time out at the Monaco E-Prix, we sat down with the 2 fastest Kiwis on the grid as they took a trip down memory lane.
Oh, wow. Wow.
What was that? Mate, look at you.
No idea. I look the same now, right?
You've trimmed up a bit.
What, we were 6? Yeah, 6. Late 2000s, I started karting. You were similar year 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same year, started karting, and it's always been super competitive, right? Even since we're 7 years old.
Yeah,
like
probably more when we're younger, right?
In a good way. But it's amazing, like I don't know, we've been best mates since we're 6 years old, yet we've always been up against each other.
Yeah, from go-karts, even teammates in TRS as well afterwards.
I don't know what year that was.
I don't even know when that, yeah, I don't even know what event that is. Probably the Nationals, maybe?
Yeah.
Looks like you won the big trophy.
I don't know how I was on the weight limit.
How the attraction man, look at it.
Yeah.
That was pretty serious, right?
We both dreamed. We dreamed of it. On my side, anyway. I was that kid who dreamed of it, but parents probably didn't think it was really possible and took it year by year. You were in a similar boat, but obviously probably a little bit more of a motorsport background, right?
Yeah, like my dad's heavily into motorsport, so it was like, it wasn't forced upon me, but he was really wanting me to do it. But then obviously it depends on how I go, right? And I think Nick and I were both lucky. We started winning quite young, from when we were like 6, 7, and then we got the drug of, it's the most powerful drug is when you win, right?
Yeah.
And then we just hooked from there. It was very serious from a young age. Probably for me, from when I was 7, it was like a clear thing that I wanted to do. I would say Nick had me covered in go-karts.
Yeah, then it changed for TRS, so.
Aku berdiri jadi
Gorgeous sights and sounds here. That was Indonesia, Raya, the national anthem of this country. Kelvin van der Linde from Abt to Cupra. Let's talk about quali, because to get to this place, that's what every man had to overcome. And it has to be said, that final lap with Max Günther, Jake Dennis, off the charts from Max. He was amazing yesterday. He repeated it today.
Yeah, cool, calm and collected. That's all you can really say from Max Günther this whole weekend, to be honest. It's been a progression, as you say. You know, you have to be adaptable in these weather conditions. The track is always evolving. There's more rubber coming down as the weekend progresses. Here we're seeing the duel itself. You know, the key factor for me, really, for Max Günther this whole weekend has been the calmness in his driving. You look at a lot of other drivers, they're hassling the steering wheel. With Max, you just see it smooth, collected, and especially in this heat, he's conserving those tires, and I think that's really given him the advantage. You see, even on his teammate, he always had the upper hand, and I think that's really down to those smooth hands, and that made the difference today.
And to do it smooth when it's such a physical track as well, even the more impressive.
Yeah, I think Max is one of the fit guys I always see on his Instagram. He's around training, on the bike, working hard, so that is no doubt gonna play to his advantage. Jake, as well, one of the guys we know, he hustles the car. I think he really pulled everything out of that Porsche powertrain as well.
And to your point as well, he actually, this morning when I saw him in breakfast, he looked fresh, which speaks to the cardio stuff that he does. He lives in Monaco, he's up and down those brutal hills. He's as fit as a butcher's dog.
Yeah, 100%. You can't count out the fact that he's riding on a wave at the moment this weekend. As a driver, that just gives you energy. Even if you're feeling down, we've had it in the past, some other race series. You know, when you're feeling down and out, all of a sudden you have good results, and the energy just, it comes out of nowhere. It's a great feeling, and hopefully he can hang on to that now in the race as well.
The energy comes out of nowhere, as does the sweat. It is safe to say that we are roasting here. And with that in mind, Saunders caught up with somebody with something rather special.
Right, so I'm now in the behind-the-scenes area, the back end of the Jaguar garage, and I'm going to find out an exclusive on how Formula E drivers keep cool before a 35-degree race. Mitch Evans, you look like the coolest man on the grid right now.
Welcome to the Jag Spa. Yeah, I did this yesterday. Honestly, you feel $1 million afterwards. So yeah, obviously the goal is to try and drop the core temp to delay the body getting too hot. The race here is so brutal, so anything you can do to reduce the pain out there is beneficial. So it's cold, but yeah, afterwards you feel incredible.
So, I mean, there's one thing about racing in the heat, but there was already quite a lot of heat in qualifying today, because that was a very tight session.
It was tight. I think for us, you know, we made massive improvement from basically all the sessions up until now. We've been struggling, and then we made a big step for quali. Just the car's got a very narrow window, so for us to get back into it after a tough few days it took everything. We just hope we still got the pace in the race. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what we got. Yesterday's race was honestly really, really tough, and I've not had a tough race like that in a long time. And obviously it ended a little bit prematurely, so we want to be in the fight at the end. We won here last year, so yeah, I just hope we've got the good pace, good efficiency, and we're in the hunt at the end.
You started in the right way by keeping cool. How many more minutes you got in here?
Probably another 5 or 6.
Fair play. Thanks, Mitch.
Hopefully I won't miss the race. Yeah, so.
Thanks, Mitch.
Enjoy the race. Cheers, guys.
Jake Hughes starting P8, noticeably hotter today. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm hot, mate. I'm struggling already. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. 2 extra laps. I mean, I don't think I was envying the 36-lap race yesterday, but 2 extra ones is probably not very welcome right now. But no, we're starting 12 positions higher than yesterday, where we managed to finish in the points. So obviously the goal is to make sure we stay in the points and see if we can climb up a little bit.
And how much can we expect the pace to be slower than yesterday?
For sure, a little bit, but I don't think it will be super drastic. You might get a little bit in the first 10 laps of the typical situation with the leader not wanting to lead, maybe, but that won't last for too long. But yeah, probably a little bit more sort of energy saving in the beginning than we saw yesterday.
Sure, with more coasting comes more opportunity for you. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, just behind us here, currently in second on the grid, is Jake Dennis. I'm going to see if I can walk over to Jake Dennis, who's currently looking as cool as you like, by the way. He's kindly coming over here. Jake, once again, superb performance in quali, same position as yesterday. What's going to change?
Hopefully the inside line's a little bit cleaner today. We can obviously try and hold position. Realistically, I think we'll drop in behind Mitch. Hopefully we can keep Stoffel behind. But long race, 2 laps longer. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to overtake in the first sort of 10, 15 laps, and then it'll be quite challenging again. So we need to hold track position and yeah, be there when it matters.
Just finally, there seems a real confidence with you at the moment. Is that coming from a place of real belief right now? That you're very much in that top 3 and a good performance here, you'll really be pushing for a title position?
Yeah, for sure, the title shots is on. There's no two ways about that, but I just need to try and score as many points as I possibly can. Yeah, I need to take advantage of my starting position in this race. The Maseratis are obviously quite quick, and then obviously we got a Jaguar this race, so it's going to be a different style of racing, I think, but ultimately we have the package to win this race if I can not drop too many positions off the inside line.
Thanks for your time, mate. Get the elbows out today. Now, in terms of us here, it is absolutely roasting. To be precise, it's currently 50. I mean, look at this here. We've got selfies going on. They're only human. They want to get a shot of the most best-looking man on the grid. But yeah, it's 52 degrees on the track today. It is roasting, so it's literally hotting up here in the Gulavit Jakarta E-Prix. Ahead of what promises to be the hottest and most physically demanding E-Prix of the season, we sent Saunders to find out just how Neo 333's Dan Ticktum stays in tip-top condition.
So we've come down to iZone, which is a performance centre for young and aspiring racing drivers. Dan is having a session in there right now, and he said I can join him. How you doing?
Hello, mate. Good. How are you?
Yeah, well, good. Thanks for letting me join your session.
No worries.
All right, let's go through this first exercise then.
Do you want a bench?
Do I want to bench? Do I want to bench this weight?
So I'd say for Formula E this year, the steering is significantly heavier. A lot of the drivers, when we arrived at Mexico, we were all like, God, this is going to be a problem. Like Sergio, for example, my teammates had to reduce like the caster on the car, which makes the steering lighter. Okay, there's a benefit to being slightly stronger maybe. You can run with more caster, which can help how the car performs in certain tracks. I don't need to be able to bench 90 kilos to drive a race car. It's just a mental thing of knowing that you're stronger and fitter than other drivers.
This is Ticktum bench pressing. It's what everyone's been asking to see.
So when obviously you're in the car, you're sat like this. Normally you have knee padding, which sort of half stops your legs from moving around with a higher power of Gen 3. Like a lot of people forget about like leg bracing. So I do a thing called, I believe it's called an adductor plank. So you have one leg up here. The further away, the harder it is. And I normally go just above the knee. You get a huge, huge burn in here after about 15 seconds.
So while I'm doing this, can you tell me why core strength might be important?
Pretty much every movement you do in a car is coming from the trunk, as people like to call it, in some way, shape or form. And having just a very, very good base there for bracing and just overall strength, it just aids every other movement.
Okay, so this is obviously a standard reaction Batak sort of machine.
Yep.
I'm going to set the benchmark.
Oh,
okay, just because then it's less embarrassing for me when you smash it by 100 points.
Yeah, well, you know, you never know.
Oh, where is it? Where is it?
3, 2, 1.
So I know what racing drivers are like now, and the competitive element is going to fuel this big time. Oh, he's flying through the points here. He's made a mockery of me.
Not really, mate.
I can't remember what I got.
73.
73. You're always 10 more than me. That's almost 10. Yeah, I expected to lose. And I think as soon as it became a competition, I know how you guys are wired.
A lot of a driver's warm-up routine is placebo, or superstition, you know, that, right, I've done that, that works for me. You know, I would only do a physical warm-up if I'm actually just cold.
See, I knew there was a good reason to do this with you, because you get the truth, you get real answers. I love it, thank you, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
I have to say, this grid is absolutely stunning. Every sense gets stimulated here, especially the heat temperature. It's something that you feel, Kelvin. Just behind us here, we just saw Max Günther. He came onto the track, he's disappeared again. He's obviously thinking about keeping his core body temperature down.
Yeah, 100%. You see a lot of drivers, they have a different strategy with that. Some go back into their box, into their hospitality area. They normally have those pools that we discussed already on Thursday in our pre-event show. Everybody does it a little bit different. Max, in his case, he likes to be with his engineers here on the grid in the moment. I think that's good. It's just everyone does it differently, and you can really feel his calmness today.
There's so much going on here. We absolutely love it. We can see James Rossiter there, the team principal of Maserati. So much excitement here. And with that in mind, we can hand over to Saunders Carmichael Brown, who's speaking to another one of the drivers now.
Okay, I'm here now with Jean-Eric Verne, starting P9 today. Now, we have seen multiple times that converted into a race win. How do you feel about that potential today?
I don't know. I hope we improved the car compared to yesterday in the race, because we didn't have such a great pace in yesterday's race. So if we improve that and we're able to be smart on the energy and when to attack and everything, yeah, we can hope for a good race.
Talk to me about this look. I'm enjoying, you're keeping very cool. It's going to be essential before this race, because if yesterday was anything to go by, is it going to be even harder today because you've got 2 extra laps to contend with?
Are you saying I'm a cool guy?
I've always said that about you, Jeff, you know that.
Yeah, no, it's very tough in the car. It's very, very hot here, so it's been difficult yesterday. For sure it's going to be difficult again today. So yeah, I think it's important to try and stay as cool as possible before the start, and then you know, just survive.
So talk to me about where you're starting from here, because going into this first corner, there's a lot of talk about it being potentially more risky being on the outside of the corner at the start of a Formula E race.
I don't know. I think you need to go where there is a gap and where you can overtake.
That's a true racing driver answer. I love that. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Pascal, congratulations on yesterday. How are you feeling?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah, good starting position, I would say. But it's going to be a long race. Today we're on the dirty side, so let's see how the start goes first.
And was there any communication between the 2 teams on the incident with Jake yesterday?
No, not from the drivers.
It's hard racing.
Exactly.
There we go. That's what we like to see. Good luck.
We do like to see that. Pascal Wehrlein, a man, I mean, this title contention, this title story is really hotting up. Just 6 races left to go. Max Günther is currently stood by his car on P1. His second ever pole. We saw him podium, Nelson. For you, will he be able to go one better and stand on top of it?
Look, he's not really in the fight contention for the championship, so he is going to be ready to take risks. He had a good podium yesterday. He has 2 pole positions this weekend only. So I don't think, if I were him, I would go really take a bit of risk and try to win a race, you know, because even if he doesn't win, maybe he's shown so much performance and so much, I mean, in practice, in both qualifiers, at the duels, everywhere. He's just been so confident that he's gained a lot of points with the team, you know, a lot of confidence. The team really believes in him at the moment. So if I would be in his position, I would take a few more risks today to try to win this race.
Well, Max Günther is currently on the left-hand side of the grid, and he's on one of the odd numbers, hence he's won. On the other side are the even numbers. Jake Dennis, for example, P2. A lot of the guys have spoken about there being a lot of dust on the right-hand side. So when it comes to the race starts, this one could potentially determine a number of the positions and ability to climb. With that in mind, let's hand over to Ollie Askew with more information on the all-important race starts.
All right, you guys, I want to take you on a quick review of yesterday's race start and focus on this inside line, the right side of the track. It's not the preferred line for drivers doing push laps, so it's naturally going to be the dirtier side of the circuit. And naturally, yeah, it's more difficult to put the power down, and a lot of wheel spin happens for those drivers. So yeah, funneling down into turn 1 now. Drivers taking it quite easy. You can't win the race in the first couple of corners, but it can certainly be lost. And yeah, very, very close quarters here between the walls, heading down into turn 7. Another angle here. Check the left side of the track. You can see that the right side is just getting a much better launch. Sebastian Buemi there having an issue. We had learned that that's the pit speed limiter that he accidentally left on. And I want to pause at this point here just to focus on, look how much dust is being thrown up by the backside of these cars, and there is some diffuser and underfloor that these cars have that's sucking all of that dirt off the track. So that's that's causing that. Just shortly here, we'll have a driver's eye view of Sam Bird. Some slight contact there with Pascal Wehrlein, your eventual winner. So he's playing the long game, thinking of you know, just playing it safe there in the beginning. So back here on board with Sam Bird, I want to focus on this gap here that he has, and it's very important at the start of these races to fill the gap and brake as far as you can into the corner, because it's very easy to make up those positions. So he sees the chance, brakes later, fills the gap, makes up a position or two. Depending on where you're starting, the inside or outside can be very crucial in how your start plays out.
Thank you very much, Ollie. We are now just seconds away from getting this race underway. The drivers are getting themselves into cars. A little bit of breaking news for you. In P15, Sergio Setecamera of Neo 333 has had his car wheeled off the grid. He will not be competing. But the unfolding news is the championship story. So many cars to talk about. This man here, Mitch Evans, will he feature and can he climb, Nelson?
He's going to be in aggressive mode today because he needs to recover the points that he's lost yesterday. He is in a position where he didn't expect to be because they struggled yesterday. So he's for sure going to be maximizing the most amount of points he's going to be able because he wants to be in a championship. He wants to be a contender. So he needs to grab those points. He needs to catch the leader. And that's his chance. Starting P3, it makes a big difference over here.
Kelvin, Eddie Mortara there, brilliant powertrain for Maserati. He's going to be a tough guy to overtake in terms of the Cassidys, the Jean-Eric Vernes. If they've got a chance, they've got to overtake him. Tough ask.
Yeah, definitely, but we got to say the move's got to happen early on. We spoke to Jake Dennis earlier on. He mentioned already it's going to happen the first 10 to 15 laps where it's the biggest opportunity to overtake before the energy targets start getting really high towards the end of the race. So I would expect definitely Pascal and Nick Cassidy to move forward. Otherwise, it's going to be a long old day for both of them.
Really briefly now, gents, Nick Cassidy, can he get deep into these points?
It's going to be tough. Let's see how efficient his car is going to be, but it's not going to be easy. You have a lot of experienced drivers over here, like you said. So he's going to be trying hard, but he's thinking about the championship. He's not going to put himself in any kind of risk. So he's going to be good and safe. Let's see what's going to happen.
And can history be made? Can we see the first ever pole sitter win after 13 races? It's game on for the race.
As the heat and humidity spreads through every element of the event here in Jakarta, the adrenaline is also building up. We're only a few moments away from the second race, the final episode of a packed weekend at this 18-turn street track. And on the grid, there is the man starting from second place. So Jake Dennis had a fantastic podium finish in second place yesterday. Can he go one place better? Well, we shall wait and see. So the man on pole position, double pole positions for Max Günther. It will be tough for him to perhaps stay in front with the Maserati not quite having the race pace that it has in qualifying, but he has driven superbly all weekend, and he did get that podium finish yesterday. So there is still a chance that he's going to be fighting for the lead, and there are plenty of others behind them, the likes of Mitch Evans, Eduardo Mortara, Stoffel van Dorn and others who'll be fighting for the win in Jakarta. Round 11 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship could see a big change in the points tally today. The Gulavit Jakarta E-Prix is set to run for 38 laps, requiring more energy conservation than we saw in the previous race held here on Saturday. That might lead to a more intense group of cars running all close together. We're all set for the third ever race here, and Karun, there are some specific areas of the track to keep a key eye on.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. 18 corners around the circuit here in Jakarta, 2.37 kilometers long. The best overtaking opportunity down into turn one, a big wide open entry which sort of funnels the cars as they come around that right-hander. Around the end of the lap, turn 13 also provides another opportunity, but we haven't seen much of overtaking so far this weekend down there. The attack mode will be activated around the outside of turn 16, with just 2 corners before the end of the lap, bringing it around the start-finish line.
So let's take a look at how they line up from the back. It's Roberto Merri and Robin Freins who'll be coming from the back. Tough for Freins, he scored points yesterday. Dan Ticktum is down towards the back, as is champion Lucas Di Grassi for Mahindra Racing down in 19th place. David Beckman making his debut this weekend, so his second race. He starts 18th. Nico Müller is 17th. Then René Rast down in 16th place. and Sergio Setecamera. He should have been starting 15th, but actually there's a technical problem with the car. Sam Bird 14th, Sebastian Buemi is in 13th position, Norman Nato in the Nissan 12th, and Antonio Felix da Costa, who has won from 11th in the past, he is starting in 11th place. Championship leader by just 2 points, Nick Cassidy 10th. Jean-Eric Verne is 9th on the grid. Jake Hughes in a good 8th place, that's impressive. Sacha Fenestres in 7th, so they could have a big battle from there. Then we have Pascal Wehrlein 6th, he won yesterday. Stoffel van Dorn, always a contender, the reigning champion. 4th place for Eduardo Mortara in the Maserati. Mitch Evans up there in 3rd place, he's got a good chance. And then the top 2, Jake Dennis starting 2nd, but the pole man is Maximilian Günther, going for at least a 2nd podium here today, as he had yesterday, perhaps even a win. That would be amazing if he can do that in the Maserati. We shall have to wait and see. It is hotter, it is more humid, the tyres are going to take a lot of strain from that, even the energy systems in the cars. We gather there's a problem for Sam Bird. Oh, we've already had a problem for Sergio Setecamera, and now it's Sam Bird in the Jaguar.
Yeah, it looks like there's still a bit of discussion. Mechanics asking what to do. I mean, that mechanic standing in front of the car should not be there anymore. The FIA have got a person on the grid. They're trying to work out what the right procedure is, but it looks like we might have a delayed start. I'm guessing that that Jaguar person on the grid is being told he can be there by the FIA people to the right in the white t-shirts, or the white shirts. There does seem a degree of confusion going on here as to what they should do.
You can see there's already one gap on the grid. That was, as we mentioned, Sergio Setecamera, who has already been, his car's already been taken to the pit lane. We don't even think it will be attempted to start from the pit lane. I believe we'll see, but I don't think they're going to get the car going. And now a technical issue for Sam Bird.
I see the marshals coming on, so I think maybe the decision's made to wheel him off the grid. They've got to find, they'll have a couple of openings, hopefully not far away from where Sam is parked at the moment. They can just push the car out to.
Means a double gap on the grid in the same place, basically, doesn't it? Because they would have to be pretty much alongside each other. So for the drivers behind Nico Muller and Rene Rast, they've suddenly got a bit of clearer run ahead of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, this is disappointing for Sam, though.
It is really.
It's turned into a horrible weekend for him. He ran into the back of his teammate yesterday when they were both potentially scoring points. And now it looks like he's not even going to get a chance in this one.
Yeah, James Barkley there, the team principal, he's heading out. Okay, so they've pushed Sam all the way back to the pit entry. Okay, hopefully.
Okay, Sam, so we're going to plug in and try and get you going from the pit lane.
See if he can make a pit lane start. That would at least get him back out, but we'll have to find out if that's going to be technically possible. That's obviously the aim.
Yeah, but now that he's in the pit lane, we should be able to get going with the grid procedure pretty quickly there. So, yeah, bad luck for Sam, but now the rest of them should be able to pull forward. There are 2 grid spots that they move up. In case you haven't seen a Formula E race start before, they don't do a full formation lap. They move up a couple of grid spots into their final starting position, and then the race will get underway.
On board with Pascal Wehrlein, the man who took victory yesterday. Now, he did do that from the 2nd row of the grid. This time he's on the 3rd row. He's starting in 6th place. On the right, as you're looking at, the blue Maserati is the pole man. That's Max Günther. And then on the left, on the front row, Jake Dennis in the red, white and black Avalanche Andretti. Still looking for his first win for a while. He won the opening round of the championship in Mexico. Went on to lead the championship after a couple of events, but then had some problems, a few mishaps. Right now they're moving into their starting positions. So we are getting ready, almost at the point of the start of the race. They take their true grip position. As you can see, they light those rear tyres up to try and put a little bit of rubber down, get them warmed up a little bit, and then we shall see how it goes. And we did see yesterday, if you're nearer the pit lane wall, it's harder to get off the line as quickly as those on the outside. But we shall wait and see if that's going to happen again. On board with Da Costa. Funnily enough, all the champions, former champions in Formula E, are on the outside line, not on the inside line. That inside line is the more tricky one to keep an eye on and get off the grid in good form. So we're all ready for the 2nd race of the weekend to get underway in Jakarta. Lights out, Formula E is underway once again, and it's a good start from Max Günther from pole position, so it's a battle for second as Mitch Evans on the outside, Jake Dennis on the inside, coming into the first corner. In fact, Jake Dennis is there in second at the moment. That is actually a much better start from the inside front row, and Stoffel van Dorn, or he might lose a place.
Yeah, Van Dorn went to have a look down the inside, but backed out of it as Dennis covered off both Evans and Van Dorn at the same time. Great start from the front of the grid.
Sacha Fenestres has managed to get through past Van Dorn, and then you've got Mortara. He's being chased by Wehrlein, the winner yesterday. A little move trying to go around the outside with Jean-Eric Vergne. They're all on board with the championship leader, Nick Cassidy. Hasn't all gone to plan for him as yet. He's down in 10th position, so plenty of work to do.
So up at the front, Maximilian Günther leads away as one of the McLarens there. You see coming up the inside, Jake Hughes up alongside Jean-Eric Vergne. That was very close, but Vergne managed to hold him off as they're coming into turn 16.
So everybody getting around so far by the looks of things. Of course, we're missing 2 cars from that lineup. I don't think that Sam Bird has been able to get going, has he?
No, he's in the pit lane, and I don't think he will be starting this race. So 38 laps today, 2 laps longer than they had yesterday, as we see the jockey for position there between Antonio Felix da Costa and Nick Cassidy further back as
Robin
well.
Ryan's trying to come through after a good day yesterday, and now he's having to come from the very back of the grid.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got to keep an eye here on Evans and Dennis, I think, because both Günther in the lead and Fenestres in fourth haven't got as much efficiency through the race. You know, generally, if you look at it, they tend to use more energy than the Andretti and the Jaguar cars in between. So I think that this battle is really important between Dennis and Evans.
Okay, well, let's see how it opens up over the next few laps. We have got this longer race, as you say, and we shall see how that all pans out. The early stages, everybody's saving that energy, trying to hold it back. After a couple of laps, they will be able to go into attack mode, and you will see them take a very strange line at turn 16. That is part of the rules. When you go into attack mode, you take a wide line, and then you get the extra energy you get out of the attack mode system in the car. We shall see how that works. We didn't see a lot of easy overtaking once you were in attack mode yesterday. Let's have another look at the start.
Yeah, so look up at the cars on the left-hand side. They did get a better start. Van Dorn got a cracking start, actually, and tried to have a look down the inside, then had to back out of it. And actually, I think Evans was pretty generous here with Jake Dennis as well. He could have, I think, gone a bit more aggressively around the outside, but in the end, Dennis managed to cover him off, and then Fenestres there sneaking up into fourth place past Van Dorn, on board with Evans. And this is what I'm saying. Look, he got a better start, Ben, and he was... At this point, his nose is ahead, isn't he? But he was quite generous. He's on the clean side of the track. He would have had the grip, but I think he was a bit cautious there and didn't attack as aggressively as I expected him to.
No, in fact, it all turned out to be pretty clean, didn't it? Sometimes we can see a lot of incidents, especially into a pretty fast first corner, and you can see that dustiness, but actually, it all went very cleanly indeed. Nobody ended up running wide over that area on the outside of turn 1. So, Max Günther holding on to the lead for the moment. Let's listen in.
Nobody wants to take the lead, so it's very important to hit our target.
Nobody wants to take the lead. Important to keep to our target. When you're talking targets in Formula E, it's about the energy.
That's right. So, you know, for people at home to understand, the cars all start with the same amount of energy, usable energy, throughout the race. They've all got the same battery provided.
Okay, we need 4 tenths and we take attack. 4 tenths and we take attack this lap.
So they're planning to go into attack mode, but this is a shame to see this shot of Sam Bird. He's just not going anywhere, is he?
Yeah, exactly. That's a real shame for it. But no, just to finish up, they've all got the same amount of usable energy. They've got to manage that across the 38 laps and therefore be as efficient as possible. But they've also got to use attack mode. So as you were saying before, Ben, here we're coming up to turn 16. Does Günther go for it? He does. Look at the top of your screen. He's gone wide onto those timing loops. So he's dropped a couple of places down to third place. He's opted to use 2 minutes now which means he'll use 6 minutes of attack mode later in the race.
That's right, they're using 8 minutes this weekend, which is double the amount that we've seen in previous races this year. It's been 4 minutes up to this stage. So he has more power for this time that the clock is ticking away, but the energy levels in the cars, they still have to manage as well. So it's a different story, but you have more power for this little space of time. Oh, that was a lock-up by Pascal Wehrlein. He nearly made contact with Mortara, and thankfully he managed to save it.
Yeah, watch his hands here. Look, he gets a massive snap there. Fully crossed up and nearly made contact. Very lucky there to get away with it.
So the winner from yesterday almost took himself out of the race in the early stages here, but so far he's held on in. And we now have Jake Dennis leading this race because Günther has gone into attack mode, and as a result of that wide line you take, you often lose 1, 2, maybe even 3 places because of that line. In theory then, with the extra power you've got, there's a chance to come back. And now the race leader does the same, just losing 1 place, as you can see. That's Jake Dennis down to second, and that means Mitch Evans in front now.
But that's a crucial move there for Jake Dennis, because he's effectively gained track position on Günther. You know, he did a good job to push hard, get ahead, and now look, he should be able to blast past, not quite, of Mitch Evans. So Evans defending the line there. But that was a crucial move for Dennis, because he's now made a net gain in terms of track position on Günther.
So they're all still a group together. We've seen this quite a lot throughout the races this year, and we'll see some battles progressing all the time. Still out in front is Mitch Evans, controlling it for the moment from Jake Dennis. But remember, both Dennis and Günther have used the first stage of their attack modes, which has dropped them down the order slightly. Stoffel van Dorn running in 4th place, Adam Mortara in 5th. Sasha Fenestra's doing a good job in 6th place with the Nissan at the moment, still ahead of Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche. Wehrlein hasn't been able to find a way past. We saw him have a big sideways moment. Right, yes, Mitch Evans goes into attack mode, loses both places once again, so he now drops back down into 3rd, and that brings Jake Dennis in front of Günther. So as you said earlier, this has worked well on the attack mode zone in a way for this first stage, because Dennis has gained that place from Günther.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this here, because Evans has got 50 kilowatts more power in attack mode. Didn't really gain a huge amount there on Günther, did he? You know, he sort of got close, but not close enough to actually attack. And this is crucial for Dennis, because if he can put some distance between himself and Evans during this first phase, when Evans is bottled up behind Günther, that'll pay dividends for Dennis later on.
Stoffel van Dorn taking a slightly narrower line, almost made me wonder whether he's doing some more energy saving there, lifting earlier, but nobody can really go past you there. That's all part and parcel of the game, and especially in this early stage of the race, trying to reserve your energy so that you've got it towards the end of the race where possible. They're all lifting off. When they lift off, of course, they're saving some energy, but they will hope at the end that will give them a bit more to play with. So it's still Jake Dennis from Max Günther, Mitch Evans, and then Stoffel van Dorn, the whole line of cars. We do gather, by the way, that Sam Bird's getting out of the car, and this is a problem by the looks of things for David Beckman. Oh, that's a great shame for the youngster having his first weekend. Not going well. Jake Dennis with the lead over Max Günther after working extremely well in these early laps. Mitch Evans in 3rd place, but we've now lost another car from the race. It was from down towards the back. David Beckman is out. Let's see if we can find out what happened here.
Think about using tools if you need.
Ooh. Ah, he got into a tangle there, and that damaged the front right suspension. So I can't remember which. It was one of the Mahindra cars.
I think it was Di Grassi, I think. Yeah, Lucas Di Grassi, I think they were contact with, and so that's a shame.
Right, so Dennis has got the lead, and the reason we heard that radio message earlier from Günther's engineer saying nobody wants to lead is it's like cycling. If you're the leader of the peloton, you're cutting the hole in the air. Everyone else is in the slipstream, saving energy, and, well, rather using less energy because they don't have the air directly hitting them. And being a slipstream means you just keep saving and saving and saving. So as they're driving along, the car in, let's say the first 4 or 5 cars there's an incremental benefit, and then it sort of tapers off a bit. As we see, Evans.
De Evans taking second place, and Mortara behind, coming through, getting past Van Dorn. Two big moves down into turn one there, making some changes. But yeah, that suddenly sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it? But as you said, they are playing a bit of a game here. Some will lift off early at this stage.
Yeah, but I think Evans knows his race is against Dennis. He, you know, as I was saying before, the efficiency of those first two cars is better than this Maserati, or has been so far this season. And that was a crucial move for Evans, because if he wants to win this race, he's got to get right up behind Dennis and make sure then he plays the game, right? So now I think he's going to sit tight. I don't think he wants to lead this race, but I think he didn't want to be stuck behind Gunther.
Okay, well, we shall see how this goes for him. Meanwhile, the other Jaguar driver, Sam Bird, oh, disappointment for Sam. I do feel for him. He's had a very tough weekend. The car not running at all in this second race. No points whatsoever for Sam. Let's see how Mitch Evans does, his teammate, as Jaguar do desperately need some points. It has been a bit of a tough one. And remember, Porsche now lead the team's championship as a result of Pascal Wehrlein's win yesterday. He still sits second in the drivers' championship, but yeah, it's a bit of a tough one for the Jaguar team generally. But Mitch Evans could turn that around in that very good second place. Gunther in third.
Copy. We've heard Dennis has been told to slow down a bit. Yeah, he is. A lot.
So yeah, Dennis is having to save energy, as we see Gunther having a look down the inside of Mitch Evans. They're side-by-side, Ben, as they're coming through that right-hander. This is an extremely narrow part of the track.
Wow.
And very opportunistic from Max Gunther there.
Max Gunther has stolen that second place back from Mitch Evans. Everybody now jostling around, trying to find the right position, deciding whether they want to be in the slipstream or not. Being in second place, of course, is ideal in many ways. You're in a slipstream, but you're right there, ready to attack the race leader. So we shall see how that goes. Evans feeling that he has got to get on with it and get past again. So you may well see Evans on the attack, but they've got to monitor how much energy they're using at the same time. Behind him is Mortara with the Maserati. Gunther right up behind Jake Dennis. It's getting closer and closer.
That's interesting to me. So Dennis opted to cover off the inside line. You know, on one hand, we're talking about nobody wants to lead this race, but clearly he's defending the line, suggesting he does want to lead this race. So there's lots of different tactics at play here.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Riding on board with Gunther. Great view from the Maserati, looking at the race leader, Jake Dennis. Just watch them through this little section here. Mortara's teammate, Mortara, the teammate of Gunther, still doing a fine job in fourth place as well.
So if you're in sort of third, fourth, fifth, you're using about 5% less energy than the cars in front. That's how the drag factor works with these Gen 3 cars. So Dennis is having to, that's why he's going slowly. You know, last time around, a 1 minute 12.3. Yesterday, they were in the high 1 minute 10. So he's over a second a lap slower than their sort of maximum pace. But this was that opportunistic move from Gunther, side by side as they wound their way through turns 9 and 10. And looking backwards here from the race leader, Jake Dennis. That's Mitch Evans on our right and Gunther on the left. Right here, they're still at it as they're coming into turn one on this lap.
It's a great battle between them. And I was intrigued there because both of them actually ended up offline at different points around. And we can see how dusty it is offline, and yet they both behaved very well. They both kind of dealt with it, had to back off a little bit. And energy there, you can see how it's being used. Oh, look at this battle up front, though. It's all happening. Jake Dennis under pressure once again from Max Gunther. In terms of energy, Karun, how do you see this working for some and not for others?
There's no real standouts apart from Di Grassi, who seems down. You know, he's at 69%, 2% less than others, and Roberto Meri, the other Mahindra, way down there. You can see in the red number, 65%. So, but everyone else, they're all pretty nip and tuck, isn't it? The first 11, Hughes is a bit down as well, but most others seem pretty similar, within 1% of each other.
Yeah, and Dennis not low, despite the fact that he's leading. So he's actually doing a pretty good job at this time. I gather Sebastian Buemi has some damage on a front wing. He's still out there at the moment. Hopefully he can keep it going. as we see Sam Bird watching with us at this stage instead of being in the car, which is a bit of a shame. But Jaguar still with a chance, and James Barkley watching Mitch Evans as Mitch is still in third, defending this time, actually, interestingly, from the other Maserati of Eduardo Mortara, and Gunther keeping the pressure on Jake Dennis.
Yeah, I don't think Evans wants to drop further back because we saw yesterday, it's hard to overtake. So you want to be second or third.
Gunther really trying some moves here. I'm surprised that he even thought about sort of even getting alongside. He didn't go try for it in the end, stay behind, keep in the slipstream. But clearly, Jake Dennis is backing off quite early to save that energy himself. And Gunther's thinking, well, what do I do here? Do I use a bit more space? Because I don't quite know where he's going to lift. You do have to be careful about that, don't you, when you're following a car closely?
Yeah.
You're not sure where he's going to lift. If you're right behind him, you can run into him.
There'll come a point in about 7 or 8 laps where Dennis would have put enough energy in the bank here. That's what he's trying to do. He's just trying to bank as much of the energy he needs early on while holding track position so he doesn't have to overtake later on. And there will be a point where he'll go, okay, I've got enough to push an attack towards the end of the race. Now, picking that point is going to be vital because everyone else is trying to do the same. And you just got to be careful to pick that lap correctly.
Keep it up, mate. Make a job.
Let's just have a look at Boemi. Oh, that's, I think, where the damage got. Yes, you can certainly see the damage to the front wing there. That's pretty obvious. Yeah.
It was with Jake Hughes, wasn't he? He made contact with the Neon McLaren there. So Dennis, even last time round, they're sort of hovering around the mid 1 minute 12s. He's controlling this pace at the moment.
Verne's dropping down. Something's happened to Jean-Eric Verne. He's suddenly dropped down the field. By the way, Nick Cassidy, championship leader, coming into this race, still only down in 9th place. Not many points on offer right now, but he is in this lead group to a certain extent, and there are more now going into attack mode. Van Dorn going into attack mode. So's Fenestraz and Wehrlein as well. And it sounds like Jean-Eric Verne is heading in towards the pit lane. He's obviously got a technical problem. Jake Dennis still in control just from Max Gunther. Mitch Evans in third. This 4 group is getting away a little bit, but that's because the cars behind them have gone into attack mode. Stoffel Van Dorn, Sacha Fenestraz and Pascal Wehrlein. They have gone into attack mode, so that's dropped them back a little, but it gives them extra power for that time that you're being shown on the screen.
So it looks like a front wing change we're hearing for Jean-Eric Verne, so clearly some contact for him there. But this is an important part of the race here because Van Dorn has gone for his attack mode at the moment, which has brought him closer to the back of Mortara. And so that little gap that opened up there, Ben, where those 3 cars went, hasn't, has closed up again. So the leaders now, look, this is where they go. Dennis, is he going to drop back behind Van Dorn? No, he doesn't. Okay, so that was crucial. He's there behind Evans. Now, what does Gunther do? Because this is Gunther's opportunity. If he absolutely pushes hard on this lap, burns up a bit of energy, makes a gap, he could get track position on Jake Dennis because Dennis is boxed in behind Evans defending. So this is a crucial lap for Maserati and Gunther to get back track position and try and get attack mode.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So let's wait and see what happens here. Mitch Evans fending off Jake Dennis, but the gap opening up, as you say, between Max Gunther and these two. So this could work very well for him indeed. Behind them, Stoffel Van Dorn is closing. He's still in attack mode as well, like Jake Dennis, and they're putting pressure. Mitch Evans.
Gunther's done the fastest.
We keep pushing from where we are.
Oh, there's the front wing damage there for Jean-Eric Verne. No chance to carry on. It's just dropped down. So, yeah, it's no surprise he had to go into the pits. Gunther's gone faster than anybody in the first 2 sectors. And as I said, this is the crucial lap. He had to push on to get attack mode and try and make this gap. Will he go for it? Yes, he does. Can he rejoin ahead of Dennis? Yes, he does. That is absolutely vital for Max Gunther and Maserati. Now, can he hold it down into turn 1?
Fascinating to see that he has done that because it was the other way round when they first went into attack modes. That was when Jake Dennis got in front of Gunther, and now it's back the other way. So that has worked. Mitch Evans is now race leader, but remember, He still needs to go into attack mode. The screen's showing you he's still got 6 minutes to use. So when he goes into attack mode, he will lose.
Here, max efficiency. Let's go.
Right, they're telling Evans to go for max efficiency. So that means they're asking him to save energy here rather than attack. So to me, that suggests they're going to wait. They're going to wait and use their second attack mode later in the race once they've banked a bit more energy.
Well, let's wait and see how this works for Mitch Evans. Points are what matter here, even more so for him in a way than the race victory, whereas for Gunther, it's race victory would mean the world to him. He's not really a fighter in the overall championship. He's not had enough points in races coming up to this weekend, but this weekend is going well, and he's absolutely determined. He's been so consistently fast through all the sessions, more going into attack mode. You saw Mortara going that way as well. Da Costa is now in attack mode, and so is Norman Nato. We're back on board with Mitch Evans. He's not in attack mode, but he's under pressure from a car that has that additional power in the terms of Max Gunther. And Jake Dennis is also trying to get back past the Maserati in second place. He wants his Andretti car to move up one.
So we're seeing a bit of a Constantina effect here. On the run down to turn 1, which is the best overtaking spot, Evans is using his energy. He's just pushing hard until the very last point where he has to brake, and then keeping the pack behind him. Now through this part, this is where they Constantina up behind him because he's backing off. He's just saving energy because the track is narrower, there's less opportunities to overtake, and he feels he could just hold them back and put energy back into the system.
I can understand that the planning for this must take hours to get it absolutely right in terms of where you lift, where you get back on the power, to look after the energy content that you have. But it's working well at the moment. Let's just see how it plays out. There's still a way to go in this race. We're nearly at halfway, not quite, but getting towards halfway now. And for the moment, Mitch Evans is leading, but it's really Max Gunther in the blue Maseratis in a very, very strong position. Jake Dennis behind him, then Stoffel van Dorn being chased by Sasha Fenestrez. Now you can see Evans, defensive, and there goes Jake Dennis from the outside. Oh, I think he's done it. Has he made the move? No, he doesn't quite. He had to go a bit too wide, a bit slippery, you could see, and Gunther got it back.
That was brave stuff from Jake Dennis, considering he's in the championship fight. That was a pretty risky move to make, and it's given Evans a little bit of breathing room now.
Yeah, Evans actually got a bit sideways there. I was surprised that it's still moving around a lot.
Copy, good efficiency.
So full efficiency.
Very good.
They're still telling him to save energy. This was the move there. Dennis went round the outside and then had a bit of a wiggle, lost some momentum, which gave Gunther the opportunity to come back. So, yeah, that was a bold move from Dennis. He saw an opportunity because Gunther was boxed in behind Evans on the inside, on the dirty part of the track, but it didn't quite pay off there.
Oh, and now we've got problem for Nick Cassidy, the championship leader. Oh my goodness.
Front wing damage as well.
Is he going to get going? Is this a time that he's going to lose the championship lead? Because his biggest rivals are going reasonably well. Pascal Wehrlein, of course, is his closest rival, but so is Jake Dennis. And Jake Dennis could actually take the championship lead if Wehrlein is several places behind him. We'll have to wait and see.
There's a lot of racing yet to go here, Ben. In the next 18 laps, this is far from settled. Van Dorn's in the fight as well. Look, he's dragged himself right on the back of Dennis. Cassidy's made it into the pits.
I gather there was contact with Wehrlein, so we may get a chance to see that again in a moment. Quite what happened, but my goodness, this has a big effect on the championship. Look at the live drivers' championship points, bottom right. Cassidy would drop to third in the points, and Wehrlein would...
We will come down behind Van Dorn. He still has one attack to do.
Mitch Evans going into attack mode. And so now this is an absolutely crucial time. That drops him back down to third place. It brings Max Gunther into the lead of the race. Jake Dennis in second. Can Jake Dennis still go for the victory here? What an opportunity this is to put him right back into the championship chase with 5 more races to go after this one today.
So this is now a straight fight, basically, because Wehrlein is... well, let's have a look at this first. This was Cassidy. This is turn 16. he sort of had a half look and then made contact, went into the back of Verline, and then I'm not sure. Well, let's look. We'll get a better look here. Look, he was quite some way back. No, there was never a move on there, really. I think Nick will be annoyed with himself for having a go at that, putting himself in that position. That's really not, that wasn't a move that was on into 16. You need to be fully alongside to make that move there.
Battle between Max Günther and Jake Dennis continues, but Mitch Evans now, of course, having gone into attack mode, he's dropped back a little bit, but he's got power to play with, and he's now sort of protecting his position from Pascal Wehrlein. Stoffel van Dorn in that queue as well. Fastest lap there from Jake Dennis in second place. Are we going to see any attacks here? Yeah, we're going to see an attack as Van Dorn comes down the inside and gets past Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, Van Dorn's got the attack mode activated at the moment, and Wehrlein doesn't, so he just sort of dragged him down the straight. Wehrlein and Mortara in 5th and 6th still need to take their last attack modes. This was Van Dorn, and a pretty straightforward move under braking to turn 1. But yeah, so the top 4 have all done their attack mode. So now this is a straight, pure fight for the win. Gunther's done a great job with energy. Look at that, he's matching Dennis. So all that we saw in the early part of the season, and we're thinking about in the early part of the year about the efficiency of the Jaguars and Porsches being a step up on everything else, well, you have to say fair play to Maserati and to DS Penske. They've both done a great job this weekend.
They have. They've got a power system that's working very, very well indeed. Van Dorn and Wehrlein are very close. You can just see them going onto the start-finish straight right now. We're monitoring their straight line speeds. This is Evans in third, but it's behind there. There you are, looking at Stoffel Van Dorn, car number 1, and he's just about managed to keep past Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein, who is heading to take the lead of the championship here today, if it all comes together, particularly now the fact that Nick Cassidy looks very unlikely to score any points whatsoever, but he will want to move up a bit and get closer to Jake Dennis, because Jake Dennis is another major threat in that championship battle.
Captain Stoffel is increasing.
So,
we
Nick Cassidy
max efficiency.
Down on his own towards the back there.
Evans just doesn't have the pace. You know, the last 2 laps he's lost something like a second and a half of the Dennis and Gunther battle. So this to me now looks like a straight fight between Gunther and Dennis for the win, as Wehrlein has a little look at Van Dorn. Yeah, the first 2 have checked out, haven't they? They've left Evans behind. Evans himself has sort of left Van Dorn behind now, about a second and a half.
Evans 2 minutes remaining. Van Dorn has used both attacks.
So a bit more information for Jake Dennis, just to know exactly what's going on here in this chase. He is 2.8 seconds behind Max Günther for now, but there is still this race on.
Wehrlein's in a tricky spot here, because yes, he's right up behind Van Dorn. Yes, I think he does seem quicker than Van Dorn, but he needs to get past him, because when he gets his next attack mode, he's sort of in this train, isn't he? He's going to lose 3 or 4 places, whereas if he can get ahead of Van Dorn, I think he can pull away enough that he might only drop 1 place, and then he can maybe overtake again. But it's really important for Wehrlein's race, especially with Dennis up ahead and Cassidy not scoring. Wehrlein needs to get ahead of Van Dorn here.
But he's not an easy guy to pass. Van Dorn, champion from last year, has made a switch to the DS Penske team, and it's been a bit of a tougher time, but he is a very experienced racer, and he will not make it easy for Pascal Wehrlein to come through. I'm sure the team will be saying, try and hold him off if you can, as Nick Cassidy going into attack mode. No, sorry, it's Buemi going into attack mode and battling with Rast as he comes back out. That was all getting very, very close indeed. Dan Ticktum's involved in the back group of that as well. This is further down the order, but it is for points, because they're down in 10th place. You get a point for 10th place, you get nothing for 11th.
Somebody's gone off at turn 1.
Yep. A lot of dust down there. Has actually somebody gone off, or did they run wide?
Maybe just a lock-up, actually.
Yeah.
Might have just been a lock-up. It looked maybe Edo Mortara having a lock-up down at turn 1, but saw a lot of smoke or dust up ahead. Anyway, on board with Ticktum. As you say, yeah, this is the battle for the last point, isn't it? Buemi Oh, Buemi very deep there at the left hand of 7.
It's been an eventful weekend for Buemi. Hasn't really gone his way. Not really gone the way of Envision generally, with Cassidy down at the back now as well. But what about Wehrlein? Still not found a way past Stoffel van Dorn.
Okay, he's deploying more than us everywhere, and the gap is growing. Great job. 1.2 gap behind.
They're very happy with what Max Günther's doing, aren't they? Pascal Wehrlein, yeah.
Da Costa.
Sorry, Da Costa, yeah. Da Costa going into attack mode. So he now drops a couple of places. Whether that's going to give him the opportunity. Let's have a look at what this little battle that was going on with René Rast.
I'm fighting here, guys.
Oh. Up against Buemi, that was pretty tough stuff.
Yeah, I think Buemi was pretty robust in his messaging to Rast there that he wasn't going to sneak by when Buemi went for the attack mode. Up front.
Look at the lead that Max has developed here.
Over 2 seconds now, Ben. He's really doing, and if you look at that graphic on the left, energy-wise, he's holding his own. He's doing an absolutely stellar job today.
Yeah, so he's doing a really great job at the moment. Mitch Evans not doing so well on energy. He's down on 32-33%, but similar, in fact, to those behind him, Van Dorn and Wehrlein, Fenestrez as well. So there's not any big differences in that particular group, but you've got to be impressed with what Günther's doing up front.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fenestrez and Nato, they've just got to stay close here to Wehrlein, because if they can stay where they are, then when Wehrlein goes for his attack mode, and he's the only one out of the top 9 who's yet to take their second attack mode, Da Costa's got a broken front wing there.
Yeah.
That could be trouble for him sometime soon. But yeah, when Wehrlein takes it, the 2 Nissans could gain a place, so they've just got to stay on the back of his car.
Down towards the back, we've got Robin Freins down at that 15th place. Jake Hughes sadly down in 16th place. Roberto Meri, who's been making his Formula E debut this weekend, down towards the back. Let's just have a look at Edo Mortara. Ooh, that was, you saw the smoke, that was where it came from.
Yeah, and he lost 3 places there. Just sort of misjudged the gap, I think, to the car in front, and then basically, you know, went for the avoiding action rather than running the back of it, and went into the runoff area.
The gap between the top 3 has really opened up a lot now, because Dennis has 3.6 seconds over Mitch Evans. Evans leading this next group. And as you say, I think what all this could mean, with Wehrlein still going to have to go into attack mode, you know what? This could still help Jake Dennis get to the top in the points, because if he loses a bunch of places and can't get them back again, Wehrlein, lower end of the top 10, that'll have a big effect on the outcome on the championship points. Wait to see what happens. We've got the 2 Nissans together, Fenestrez and Nato.
Based on that gap with Mitch, if any drastic sectors change for him.
Yeah, so I think Dennis has recognised that Günther's checked out. He's 3 seconds ahead. He's only concerned now about staying in second place and consolidating that position for himself.
Lap number 28 out of 38. So Max Günther in a very strong position at the moment. Once again, and I'm going to say this now, may well cause a problem, we haven't had any yellow flags in this race like yesterday until right towards the end, when it was established there would be no extra laps. If there is a yellow flag safety car period, we might get more laps.
We need to manage things from where we are, and the only way to do it is how we are doing it. So we need to keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing, Mitch is told, which basically means hold on where you are. We could still get a podium out of this if you can stay there and not get passed by anybody. But let's wait and see what happens. And how late is it going to be before Wehrlein goes into attack mode? He's still got 6 minutes of attack mode remaining. He's the only one in that top 10 group, really. Well, 2 minutes available for Buemi, but it is really Wehrlein on that slightly different aspect in this race.
Yeah, Mortara's taken his as well, so what's Porsche's game here? Because they brought Da Costa into play now, haven't they? Da Costa, look, he's at the back of the straight behind the 2 Nissans. Wehrlein's going to drop in behind Da Costa at this rate. And then what?
Look at the Drivers' Championship potential as it stands now, but bear in mind that Wehrlein has to go into attack mode and could well lose more points than he will earn. So there is an even bigger chance that Jake Dennis, who led the championship after the first and second races this year, could go back into the championship lead here in Jakarta.
We can consider goal deploy if it helps us defend.
Lots of tenseness you can hear from the team, from Mitch Evans, from Jaguar, whether they can hold on to this third place. Energy-wise, he's not looking in particularly strong place, but Van Dorn not too much different. Can he hold on there? Van Dorn coming under a bit of pressure now from Pascal Wehrlein. Felix da Costa at the back of that middle group as well, but Wehrlein, I wondered whether he was going to get alongside, didn't quite make it happen.
Yeah, he did. He tried to get a switchback, didn't he? He tried to go wide into one and get the switchback. Van Dorn defending here very aggressively. 8 laps to go. He does not want to give up track position. Da Costa's looking feisty behind Norman Nato in the Nissan, but here is Pascal Wehrlein. He's starting to get a bit impatient, I think, behind Van Dorn. One of the issues, Ben, also, when they're driving around in this queue, is they struggle to keep the temperature down in terms of the front motors, particularly. They get really quite hot when you're driving around in the train, so there's a lot of balancing going on out there.
Okay, Denis got 0.5 more energy. Okay, those targets, that means nothing, so keep hitting your target.
So they're still happy with what he's doing, even if Jake Dennis has got a tiny bit more energy. There's a big gap, isn't there?
He's made 10 seconds on Evans. That is incredible how the first two have just gone so far ahead of everybody else. And yeah, that's one of the things we could talk about energy and efficiency as much as we like. But ultimately, if Gunther's got a good rhythm around here and he's able to get through the corners faster, that means he's using less energy because he's carrying more momentum. He's having to accelerate from a higher speed rather than lift the weight from a lower speed. And just through that, he's being more efficient.
A few more laps like that, and we sorted.
He's getting lots of encouragement from his team, isn't he? Jake Dennis in second place. This gap, 3 seconds. We haven't seen a gap over 2 seconds between.
Van Dorn's gone wide.
That is a problem for Van Dorn. Is he going to lose any more? No. Well, Evans just still defending from him, but yeah, that was a bit of a key moment. Evans still in third place. Wehrlein in attack mode now, so that has dropped into 7th position, right? So this is the big question. Can Pascal Wehrlein, who is now, he is a front of his teammate. I wonder whether his teammate let him through straight away. He might have done. But Wehrlein down in 7th place now. And there you are watching Wehrlein, the last of those cars that you're looking at in that picture. That is the man who won yesterday. He's now in attack mode, and he's got to try and get past some of these.
Yeah, it was on the previous lap, so he's got to make hay now, hasn't he? He's got 4 minutes of attack mode left, which means he'll get the run down the start-finish straight probably 3 times to get some places back, but he's only got 6 laps to go. Da Costa's all over the back of him. Hopefully Da Costa would have been told to just sit tight because Wehrlein's a championship contender for that team, and he needs to clear these 2 Nissans pretty quickly as Fenestras has a look at Van Dorn down into 13. He goes for the move. Van Dorn gives him space, and Nato now coming past both of them.
And this will give a chance for Wehrlein as well, because the loss of momentum for Stoffel Van Dorn, and now you've got the 2 Nissan battling away here. Nato trying to get past Fenestras. No, Wehrlein did not get past Van Dorn. So although Van Dorn has lost out a bit now, Wehrlein may have a run down the long straight towards turn 1. Unusual to have seen an overtake in that area. This is an area where we tend to see it more often, and Pascal Wehrlein's definitely going for it. Down the inside on Stoffel Van Dorn. Yeah, he's just got past. Da Costa trying to follow. I'm not sure that's going to work.
No, so, right. Net, Van Dorn, the big loser. He's gone from 4th to 7th in the space of half a lap there.
Absolutely. So Stoffel Van Dorn, who had a good day yesterday, scored decent points for the DS Penske team, but it's not happening this time. And another little move going on there. That was Da Costa. Let's have a look at this.
So this is where Wehrlein went down the inside of Van Dorn. This was pretty straightforward. Da Costa had a little bit of a sniff, but it was down at 13 earlier in the lap where Van Dorn went a little bit wide, I think, and opened the window up.
Wehrlein still in attack mode, so he's able to use that extra power, but will he get on past the next one? Mortara down.
Yeah, no, Mortara's got ahead of Van Dorn.
Right,
yeah. And then when we were looking at that replay there, so that is what we're looking at here. It's now Ticktum behind Van Dorn in 10th.
We're into the latter stages of the second race in Jakarta, and Max Günther is in great shape up in front. 2.1 seconds his lead over Jake Dennis in second position. But Jake is getting a little closer. He's been doing a couple of good laps. That last lap, he was some 0.3 of a second faster than Max Günther. So we'll just keep an eye on this. Mind you, for Jake, this is still a fantastic opportunity to be right up at the top of the championship points table at the end of this race. We're still watching Wehrlein to see how far he can go, because Wehrlein may take the lead from Nick Cassidy, who's not going to be scoring any points today.
So Dennis is keeping the pressure on, isn't he? He's not letting Günther relax, although Günther's responding on this lap. He has, so far, in the first half of it, been 3 or 4 tenths quicker than Dennis. But, you know, Dennis is just sitting there, isn't he? Just in case Günther has an issue or makes a mistake, he's sitting close enough to pounce.
Yeah, that lap actually was a slightly faster lap by Günther than it was from Dennis. And look at the gap these two have over the rest of the field. It's still Mitch Evans holding on to that third. He's going to be under pressure all the way to the checkered flag, though. You can see, look at over the line, that gap. There's a big one. But now the battle Wehrlein. It's the last of this group. Pascal Wehrlein trying to get past Norman Nato in the Nissan. And for Wehrlein, who won yesterday, he knows what it's like in Formula E. You have good days, bad days. You've just got to get whatever points you can get out of it, particularly as he's such a major championship contender and will probably take the championship lead here today, as long as he keeps it clean and maybe gets past one more car. He's been making some good overtakes, but can he do it cleanly and get past safely? It's always going to be a big question. The energy is reducing, but Max Günther still in charge up front. So if they finish where they are right now, Pascal Wehrlein would take the lead in the championship by just 1 point. If he stays in 6th and Jake Dennis finishes in 2nd, which is how it sits at the moment, but who knows what's going to happen in the last few laps. We sometimes see drama.
And Evans is hanging in there as well, isn't he? You know, this 3rd place is going to be crucial for him, because he's also in that fight, of course. No added laps, because we haven't had any safety cars in this race so far. So this is now a straight fight for the final 3 laps of the race.
Yes, amazing that we've had no extended races here in Jakarta this weekend. There have been no long safety car periods. It has been straightforward, clean racing, and today the battle behind has been close. But Max Günther, that move that he made, and you pointed it out early on, Karun, that if he could just get the timing right and the attack mode, he worked it so well, and the team and he worked together to get back past Jake Dennis at a crucial point. And that was pretty challenging, but he did it well, and he now has a comfortable lead in the race. This is where the real battle's going on. It's for the final podium slot. Mitch Evans leading this group. He's in 3rd place in the black and white Jaguar. He's got Fenestres and Nato behind him in the red Nissans. And then you've got Pascal Wehrlein. That's the key one to watch as well, the Porsche, because he won yesterday, and he could really do with another place or 2.
Do we have the fastest lap? Not negative, Dennis got it, 9.17, but let's focus about the big prize.
He wants the extra, he wants the fastest lap, he wants an extra point for fastest lap, Max Günther. He's not a big championship contender, he's quite a long way down the list in the championship table, but nonetheless he's enjoying himself today and going on for a victory, his first win of the season. It's going to be a major achievement if this all comes together.
And for Maserati, you know, they've joined the championship this year for the first time, and it's been a tough start to the year for them, but they really come on strong this weekend, particularly Günther. Mortara also in the points in 8th place, but I tell you what, the battle for 3rd is still on.
I'm going to push sector 1 in case it goes, and as soon as you don't think
still thoughts and plans on what can be done, but at the moment Jake Dennis is doing thinking all the time, focusing on what he might be able to do.
Yeah, final lap, so they've got similar energy, and you know, I think at this stage they're pretty settled on. I think this is what we need to be watching here, because Fenestras all over the back of Mitch Evans. The best opportunity is into turn one, but Wehrlein is also thinking about Nato, not quite close enough. So Wehrlein could be leaving Indonesia just 1 point now ahead of Dennis, and only 5 to Cassidy. This is incredibly close.
It is incredibly close, and it certainly sets things up for the remaining 5 races if it stays like this. The energy running out, but the laps are running out as well, and everybody in position just hoping they could perhaps gain another place or two. I'm not sure there are going to be too many changes though. Max Günther has had an absolutely amazing weekend here in Jakarta. Pole position in both races, fastest in all sessions such as free practice and qualifying, an excellent podium finish in 3rd place yesterday. But Max Günther comes through to take victory in round 11 of the Formula E Championship. A superb event for him, beating Jake Dennis. He takes his 4th career win, his first win since July 2021.
Well done! Well done!
3rd place goes to Mitch Evans, 4th to Fenestras, 5th to Norman Nato, and Pascal Wehrlein has to settle for 6th place, which we believe will put him just up into the championship lead, but it'll make it a very, very tight battle at the top. And well done to Max Günther, superb.
Max, it's Karun, congratulations. That was an unbelievable drive.
Thank you so much. So proud of all of us. Progress keeps going. That's number 1. Thank you, guys.
How do you replicate this Jakarta performance to the rest of the season? Are you going to just copy-paste this track everywhere else?
Yeah, we had a good start this weekend from the very beginning. So, yeah, very pleased, you know, to have the podium yesterday, today the victory. Yeah, our package was really good here. I'm really happy that we scored the points, and yeah, just incredibly happy.
Congratulations,
yeah, follow
enjoy
the
your
podium
evening.
ceremony. Okay, so you have to follow instruction.
So, fantastic stuff from Max Günther. And you know what, for Maserati as well, this is an amazing day, because it's the first time the Maserati brand has won a World Championship single-seater race since Manuel Fangio's legendary win at the Nürburgring in 1957. So the Maserati name has not been in single-seater racing for many, many years, but the fact that they're back in with Formula E, and now they've taken a victory here at Jakarta, brilliant.
Yeah, remarkable. He had that one lap where he had to make it count, and he did, and that was really crucial for the win today.
Cars all heading back, and there'll be some major celebrations, and tonight they will be able to celebrate. They haven't got another race tomorrow, having had one yesterday, but Max Günther, that is the largest winning margin we've seen in the last 10 races, 2.8 seconds. So he really got that right. The whole team got that right. Brilliantly done. Winning from pole position, and you know what, that's the first time that's happened in 14 races. We haven't seen anybody win from pole during this season, and at the end of last season as well there were no wins from pole. So 14 races has gone since the pole sitter has won the race.
But as a collective as well, I can't recall a more dominant weekend for anybody. Jake Dennis there, coming across there, congratulations. He's been dominant since the first practice session, and I'm really glad he's won this race, because he's thoroughly deserved it after the pace he's shown. 54% of you have voted him driver of the race. Frankly, I'm not surprised. Well, I'm surprised it's not been 100%, because he's genuinely been superb.
He has done a great job, but fair play to Jake Dennis as well, because he's done a fantastic job this weekend. 2 second places has put Jake right back up in the championship battle, and Maximilian Günther, who has done so well this weekend, unfortunately the earlier part of the season didn't go so well, so he's not in the championship contest in the same way that Jake Dennis. And Jake has taken what is his 7th podium finish of the year. He already had the record for the most podiums this year, and he's been very impressive throughout the weekend, scoring so consistently. And although he'll be frustrated not to have had a victory, because he was rapid all weekend, he has done a fantastic job.
Yeah, and listen, he's kept himself in that height, in that title fight, hasn't he? That is, for him, absolutely crucial. He's looking at the big picture here. So he's well and truly in that fight.
Well, it's been a tough day for Nick Cassidy, who was leading the championship, coming into the event and into this race just by 2 points after not a great day yesterday, but no points scored for Nick Cassidy today. That is obviously a big disappointment, but he is still a major contender in the championship up against this guy, Pascal Wehrlein, who has now taken a tiny championship lead.
Yeah, Nick will be honest with himself. He always is. You know, he recognised that that move really wasn't on. You know, it was sort of a half-hearted effort and ended up tagging the front wing and sending him down the order. So he'll be annoyed with himself.
Yeah. Having a little conversation, whether we can hear into it, always a little bit difficult, but it's a disappointing day, but as you say, he's pretty composed. And there's the man who's gone for yet another podium finish. He is fighting for the championship. That's what's been his mark right from the beginning, because he started the year with that victory in Mexico. He was still leading the championship after the second race. Then it dropped away, and there were several incidents. He got taken out by a couple of accidents and some other issues as well. But this last run of podium finishes has been very, very impressive. It's now 4 consecutive, actually, as well as that total number we had.
And Evans also, 25 points off the lead. He's not out of this. He's definitely not out of this fight.
I agree. Yeah.
Trying to save that, like he was in trouble. Nick was in trouble. I just think
Feel for Nick, but he is still very much in this championship battle with 5 races to go. And as you say, the fact that Mitch Evans has got that third place, there is Mitch, that has definitely kept him in there. It does feel, though, now it's gone down from 5 to 4 a little bit, fighting for the championship, doesn't it?
I agree, but I think where Evans will be concerned and Jaguar will be concerned is they were nearly 20 seconds behind Gunther there, 18.5 seconds, and that is not where they want to be.
Round 11 race winner here in Jakarta. Maximilian Gunther, congratulations. Maserati's first single-seater World Championship win since Fangio in 1957. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Very proud moment. I am over the moon, you know, with this victory. Already yesterday was great with another podium, you know. We have so good progress over the past couple of races. It's fantastic, and yeah, to have my first win here in Jakarta is just outstanding, and I'm just so happy.
You've safely earned the title King of Jakarta, fastest in all-time sessions, a podium yesterday and now the win. What an incredible weekend.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I felt really good from FP1 onwards, so I knew, you know, the package is working here. It was just about, you know, executing it and, you know, keep tuning in the right direction. And yeah, we always took the right decisions this weekend. And yeah, yesterday we didn't have enough. Today we had, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Talk to me now about the rest of the season. You must have a lot of confidence in the car going forward.
Of course, you know, it's in Formula E you always need to stay with both feet on the ground. You know, it's, I guess, in life in general. You know, it can change so quickly. I'm just really enjoying this moment here. I know that there will be tracks that are suiting us more. There will be tracks that are suiting us less. We just try to always, you know, maximize our package. That's what we've been doing the past few races, and yeah, I'm very proud.
Congratulations, enjoy the celebrations.
Thank you.
A very, very happy man, and quite right too, after doing such a tremendous job here. Let's take a look at that full result then. Max Gunther winning by 2.8 seconds over Jake Dennis, with Mitch Evans taking third place for Jaguar after what had been a tough weekend for the team. Sasha Fenestres getting an excellent 4th place, equals his best career result. Norman Nato, his teammate, in 5th. Pascal Wehrlein had to settle for 6th, ahead of Da Costa, Mortara, Van Dorn and Buemi, completing the top 10. And now we will see the fans heading over towards the podium area, of course, to enjoy and celebrate the victory that Max Gunther has just had. But it really worked well for him this race. But he had to go for it. Good start from pole position. Then the battle with Jake Dennis and with Mitch Evans in those early stages. And he was aggressive. We saw that pass that he did, well, on Mitch Evans. And then a very, as Karun pointed out, a brilliant lap when getting ready to go into attack mode, he was able to take the victory. And he has fully deserved that win after tremendous performances all weekend. Let's go back down and speak to the man in second, Jake Dennis.
Jake Dennis, your 4th podium in a row. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm a lot happier than yesterday. Really good race, to be honest. Glad I could keep the P2 at the start. Honestly, pretty well maximised. I think we didn't quite get the second attack mode right, but ultimately the Maserati was so fast over 1 lap today. And yeah, when he pushed, he created the gap, which basically did the overcut on me or undercut, one of the two, and got track position again, but it would have been difficult to keep him behind. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy. P2, 18 points, or 19 with the fastest lap. So hopefully we can yeah, keep building on this, keep scoring big points in Portland. It's going to be a big race for us, home race, so yeah, looking forward to it.
P2 here in today's race, but in terms of your championship rivals and your title contention, it's very much a win today.
It is. I mean, I just got told on the radio on the in-lap that Nick DNF, so yeah, it was obviously useful for us, and Pascal was P6, so yeah, really good points all. It's obviously important for the championship, but there's still so many races to go. There's 5 rounds left, and yeah, all to play for, but yeah, very much looking forward to it.
Congratulations. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, there's a happy man as well, because he might not have taken the victory, but my goodness, he is really in the championship contention. He started from 2nd place on the grid in the red, black and white car, and he had to fight hard in a couple of areas, but he was always looking confident. And although he did miss out, as he said, a little bit on the second attack mode that they went into, he was still always fighting, and at one stage it looked as though he might be the race winner. In the end, settled for 2nd, but to get fastest lap as well, that has been tremendous for him and for the Avalanche Andretti team. So well done to him. And taking 3rd place, a crucial 3rd place as well, it's Mitch Evans.
Mitch Evans, when people talk about recovery drives and points from potentially having a race ended in the worst way possible, they'll now use the words Mitch Evans.
Oh yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be cool, I guess. But look, a bit speechless because yeah, we had a massive turnaround from yesterday. I was not expecting this today at all, but I struggled a lot in the race with efficiency and a bit of pace. I thought I was looking good halfway through, but once Max and Jake put their foot down, I just couldn't keep up. And I was a bit of a roadblock, but I hung on, and you know I really needed these points after yesterday. So yeah, the confetti on the podium will taste good.
So on the subject of energy, there was a lot of back and forth with yourself and the team radio, where you seemed that there was quite a lot of stress around the energy. Did you feel like it was touch and go?
I was just really surprised, and then in the range I was in, I was doing a lot of coasting, and just left me very exposed to Stoffel and the guys behind, and just also the pace was slow. So I felt like I was up against the corner, and but luckily I was able to hang on, and towards the end it got a little bit easier. I was able to underconsume and hit the targets up a bit, but yeah, hung on, and that's I guess the main thing.
So thanks very much. Enjoy the celebrations. Cheers, Mitch.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Enjoy the celebrations.
What a race that was yesterday, such a different race to that. And Kelvin, it felt like the Formula E races that we've seen all this season, massive lead changes, loads of overtakes, you couldn't predict anything.
Yeah, it was great, right? I mean, the beginning of the season, we saw a very chaotic style of racing. Monaco was pretty much the epitome of that, and I think Formula E just got the race system right today with the energy allocation. It was exciting when it needed to be, and then at the end, still the best car and the best driver combination were able to win.
Saunders called Gunther the king of Jakarta. I think it's safe to say he was that dominant in every session. Didn't get the win yesterday, put it right today. What a performance.
Amazing performance. Honestly, after yesterday's performance in the race, I thought that perhaps Jake Dennis would have had the upper hand in efficiency, but just Maximilian today was just flawless. I mean, in the strategy, getting the attack mode, not one mistake, a pure amazing drive from him the whole weekend. It's not easy to get practices, both qualifyings, all the duels. I mean, if he should have got the win yesterday. I mean, that would have just made it even more impressive of what he's done this weekend.
Possibly lost for words in the description. Let's remind ourselves of how he did it. Amazing for Maserati in the history. Their comeback to motorsport, so good. And Kelvin, it was not made easy. I mean, he started on pole, but there were lead changes. Jake, then Evans, it all happened.
Yeah, look, I mean, what you saw a lot today was the attack mode, just how critical that was to get it right every time around. And I think Max was always in the right position. They made good calls from Maserati's side, Jake as well. I think once those two kind of broke away, it was pretty much a done deal. And like Mitch said in the interview after the race, he was a bit of a handbrake for the rest of the field, kept it nice and tight. And we saw great performances by the Nissans coming back up and making it exciting towards the end.
And often you don't see what he managed to do right there is to put that daylight between him and the rest of the field. It's often very bunchy, one incident away from all the cars coming back together again, but it worked.
It was something I didn't expect at all. I thought that Jake was going to really put a lot of pressure behind Gunter, but I mean, once Gunter had the clean air, he was just efficient, quick. I mean, he had the speed. He had the speed, the efficiency, the concentration. He just went for it. I mean, I was really surprised that Jake Dennis really didn't give him a bit more pressure. You know, I mean, just Max just had the speed, and I underestimated him after yesterday's race. I didn't think he was going to have the efficiency during the race, but he just proved me wrong.
We could talk about the Maserati powertrain, but actually, you look at Edu Mortara, he performed well, but nothing like Max. So it was package and driver performance today.
Yeah, look, I think there was one critical stage in the race when he had a big lockup into turn one. I think that really blew him out the back, wasn't able to really recover the positions. And at that stage in the race, track position was everything, and he just kind of got stuck behind that Evans pack. But it goes to show, you know, you really got to be cool, collected when everything counts. And yeah, I mean, we've entered enough this week, and I think Max deserves that win today.
I have to talk to you about the race leader coming into this, Nick Cassidy. There was an incident that possibly, when we look back at this season, we might say it all changed on a sixpence in Jakarta in the second race. And again, gutting for Envision.
It was a shame. I mean, a move of Cassidy like this, I didn't expect at all. He was so consistent, so good all of these races, and then to do a silly move. I mean, you know, it's a corner where you didn't see any overtaking maneuvers, so why would he try to do that right over there? You know, it was, you know, it cost him not a lot of points because he was around 10th place. So, but still, you know, it's something that he should have been a bit more careful while you're leading the championship.
We all watched that together, and everyone had the same reaction. It was shock and surprise that he went for a move like that. Was that pressure? Is it the fact that he knows he's the race leader? He doesn't want to be giving up positions? What was that about? What caused that?
I think there's a lot of factors that play into it. I mean, for sure he has a target on his back. I do know he's got a new race engineer this weekend. He had Rob Sattler in the past, and he was a guy that you always heard on the radio, giving Nick that kind of calm voice that he needed. Maybe that wasn't the case this weekend. Maybe he was just missing that engineer on the radio saying, listen, Nick, we don't need anything special. We just need the points. And you felt he'd never really got into his flow this weekend. So
that's really interesting, because yesterday in FP1 we saw him with frustration with communication with his team. It seemed to get better in FP2, but it hasn't quite come together for him.
But we do know that the Jaguar powertrain wasn't that efficient over here. You know, you see, okay, Mitch got a P3 today, but it was a very hard P3. I mean, he finished third, holding back the two Nissans during the race. He struggled to be over there. I mean, it wasn't a clear, easy P3. You saw the distance between P2 and P3. I mean, there was over 10 seconds. So the powertrain, the Jaguar powertrain with Envision and Jaguar, they didn't have the right package for this track. So it wasn't going to be a good weekend, but he should have maximized these points that he lost.
Well, you can probably hear behind us that we're about to lead out the drivers and celebrate with them with their podium finish here in Jakarta. One thing I love about Kelvin is that all these drivers, they want to discuss, they want to unpick and unpack everything that took place, because they didn't necessarily see everything that we did.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, these Formula E races are crazy. It's almost impossible to keep up with everything that is going on. After the race, they'll obviously on the flight home, they'll redigest what's going on, but yeah, I think most of them can be pretty happy with the job. This whole weekend in the heat, they'll all be happy to kind of forget about motorsport for a bit and move on and enjoy the celebrations.
We can see what it means to Team Maserati. So much history in motorsport, making their return, as we heard from Saunders. 1957 was the last time we saw them have a victory in a single-seater, and there just seems that ultimately memories that will last a lifetime. You take a risk when you come into a motorsport. They're new to Formula E, and boy, have they delivered today, a real culminatory point.
It's amazing. I'm so happy for them. I mean, it's such a traditional manufacturer coming back to Formula E, winning a race after 70 years or so. So I'm really happy for them, for the whole team. They've been working so hard to get there, and yeah, I mean, it's just great to see these new teams just bringing these results, and great. And Mitch, I mean, he saved a lot of points this weekend as well. I mean, he didn't have the package, and he managed to still get a P3. So that was a very well-deserved podium for him.
Kelvin, what a story, what a comeback story for Mitch Evans. Given what happened yesterday, wiped out by your own teammate, to put that behind you, to forget about it, and produce what he did, again, it wasn't easy. He had to fight. Superb.
Yeah, look, you got to give it to him. I mean, the last couple of seasons, you've always seen Mitch come to the front when it mattered in the championship fight. It's no different this year around. You have to think about it, though. India and yesterday combined those points. Mitch is pretty much leading the championship. So very bitter. They're going to have to really analyze what's going on there at Jaguar. They're going to come back with a different strategy, with a different plan, how they can support Mitch for the last 5 races.
Well, all that's left for us to do is now enjoy the scenes, the jubilation as Gunther gets his just desserts.
It is fantastic to see them out onto the podium after that brilliant performance by all top 3 drivers that we've got up there, and by the Maserati team, of course. So let's get ready to celebrate the key moment for the first win of this year for this man, his 4th ever win of his career. Fantastic to see. First time to get the Maserati name to the top of the podium. It's Maximilian Gunther getting the cheers, getting the hands as he heads down towards the podium and taking that fantastic winning margin, the biggest that we have seen in 10 races. He delivered superbly well all weekend. Those fastest laps that he set right from the beginning in the first free practice session set the pace for the whole time, and getting 3rd yesterday and building up on confidence even more for this slightly longer race today has worked perfectly for him. Winning from pole position, the first time we have seen that this year, and taking what is his first consecutive podium in his whole career in Formula E. Well done to Max Gunther for achieving the target.
Dan sekarang lagu kebangsaan dari pembalap pemenang.
Very impressive.
And now the national anthem of the winning driver from Germany.
Well, for the second time this weekend, had the anthem for Germany.
Of the winning team from Monaco.
This time it's a different one for the team. So, celebration time, and that's a very special moment indeed. to take on the victory for Max Günther. And now it's time for the awards to be handed out. The winning team getting the award from Mr. Bang Bang Soesatyo. And it's Maserati on this occasion, a team, a name, of course, that has history in motorsport. But as we know, it's a long time since the Maserati name has won a World Championship single-seater race, all the way back to 1957. Now it's time for the award for third place. Mrs. Christina Hanapan handing the trophy over to Mitch Evans, and that really was a crucial third place for Mitch Evans. After disappointingly scoring no points, being the only non-finisher yesterday after that incident with his teammate Sam Bird, he needed good points today to keep the championship battle alive, and he has done so. Mr. Ananda Mikkola, former racing driver, who gives the award for second place to Jake Dennis, and Jake Dennis really getting a lot of support here this weekend. He's done a fantastic job himself, and of course he is right up there now in the championship battle. That's what he's been planning all the time. And the winner's trophy from Mr. Heru Budi Hartono, the governor of Jakarta. That gets handed over to Max Günther. And the smile is getting bigger and bigger. It really is celebration time for the second day here in Jakarta, and for Max Günther in particular, who has been so superb. He will always want to race here in Jakarta, bearing in mind the lap times he has done, taking 2 podiums back-to-back, and his first win of the season, the first win for Maserati in Formula E as well. Really tremendous stuff. There are 5 races still to go in Formula E, and the next race is going to be an all-new one in the United States. So Portland is going to be the next race on the calendar, as you can see, listed up on the board there. And that's going to be a tremendous event as well. Been there before to commentate on Champ Car and seen some great racing, and I think Formula E is going to work well there. So we shall see how that goes. And what is also so fascinating is the closeness in the championship battle between the likes of Pascal Wehrlein, who's now just taken that top spot, Jake Dennis, who's right there with him, poor Nick Cassidy, who hasn't scored this weekend, but it has certainly kept things well alive, and Mitch Evans, who has kept in there too, he's 4th in the championship, just a few points behind those top 3, but still with a real chance of doing it. Time for cheers, time for delight, time for great photographs, and for looking forwards to what comes up in those remaining races as well.
Okay, wait.
I have to say that it is going to be a very unpredictable championship. And of course, not only Portland to come up, still 2 races to go in Rome, and then the double header, which could well now become the championship decider, as it has been in the past. That is going to be in London at the end of July, and that should prove to be, once again, a remarkable event. It is very likely, looking at just how close those points battles are, that this will go down to the wire, that it will go down to London for the final 2 races to determine who is going to be champion. Max Günther won't be, I don't think, because he's way too far back in the points, but he has delivered well, and if Maserati can keep up this sort of pace, it may well complicate it for those other drivers that will be fighting for the title victory at the end of the season. So much to look forward to in the remaining events and races in Formula E. I hope all of you who've been part of this weekend, enjoying our coverage, have really absorbed what this guy has achieved. Tremendous. Yes, and for a man who is 25 years old and raced in Formula 3 in 2016, Formula 2, but then came into Formula E he has really understood this new Gen 3 car extremely well. Best 9th overall in the 2019-2020 season. There's every chance that even though he's got to have to move up the order a bit more, he has delivered 25 points extremely well, plus the 3 points for pole position, so 28 points he has put onto his table. So he has moved up the order extremely well. It's likely that he is going to get his best championship position in Formula E, even if he's not going to necessarily be one of the title contenders going into those last 5 races. Well, making his way back towards the paddock. The celebrations will no doubt start to begin with the team as well. A chance to get a few more hugs from everybody down there. He has delivered everything right, and I think they will be very proud. Eduardo Mortara, even his teammate, will be pretty happy, I think, to have seen what has been achieved this weekend, and hopefully there'll be more in the future for the Maserati team.
That man there, Maximilian Günther, the 4th win of his Formula E career, getting Maserati their first win since joining Formula E way back in January with their first race. What a performance it was, and the result of this race has turned the championship standings on their head. In terms of the top 5, let me just run you through them a little bit. So the man in first place now in the championship standings is Pascal Wehrlein. He leads Jake Dennis, who was 3rd up to this point, by just 1 point. In 3rd place, Nick Cassidy, who's fallen down to 3rd. He's just on 128 points. There's 6 points separating the top 3. Kelvin, this is perfectly poised to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, we spoke about it during the weekend and before the weekend. We want to see a showdown. That's what we all live for, is a great fight for the champion. We've got now, let's say, our 3 favorites, and then we've got 2 outliers, Mitch Evans and Jeff, obviously in there as well. Mitch was the absolute king of Rome last year with a double win. So, you know what, it's all open, and I'm so excited to see what's going to happen next.
He's got the damage limitation, though. No points here would have been an absolute disaster, and to be on the podium, he's back in the game, he's back in business.
Yeah, I mean, he's there. Mitch has done a good job today. He recovered. I think he didn't have the package to be finishing in the podium, but he still managed to put his elbows out there and managed to keep a position, so I'm happy for him. But the championship is going to be down to those 3 guys. I think they showed this weekend they're on a different level, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just keeps up this way the last couple of races.
And the guy who's fallen places, the only 3 men of those men to 4 places, is Nick Cassidy, down in 3rd, and he's with Saunders right now.
So I'm here at the back of the Envision garage with a man that has definitely earned a cool down. Not an ideal day for you today. Talk us through it, mate.
It was an ideal day, mate. They happen in racing, right? It was bound to happen sometime this season. Yeah, look, I think we did a really good job overnight analysing where we were weak. Every session I was getting stronger. We're going forward with the car. Quali ended up quick, and man, I made a mistake in quali, and it just proved too costly. Put me in the jungle, let's say, in FE, and starting to come through, but I had a lot of energy. Pace wasn't that special. It was good, but it was probably behind Maxi and Jake, and I just needed to make something work for me, and yeah, look, messed up.
I mean, there's only now 6 points between the top 3, so it's still very much open with quite a few races to go. Was it 8 points? Yeah, 6 points. Yeah, trust me there. Trust me there. So yeah, 6 points now between top 3. So it's very much still up for grabs now. With 5 races to go. How do you reset from now? Because it seems this season you've actually done almost better when the target hasn't been on your back.
I wouldn't say that. It's just it wasn't a track that suited us. So I mean, and we were due a bad weekend. I mean, some guys have had failures, mistakes, crashes, whatever, lost points, and we were due a day like that. Unfortunately, it was my mistake, which probably hurts. But hey, look, there's 5 races to go. It's over 125 points. There's a long way to go in this championship.
Well said. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you guys. A couple clips here, but before we get to the incident, we're going to take a look at the very beginning on board with Nick Cassidy. You notice he doesn't get a very good start. The Porsche of Antonio Felix da Costa flying by on the left side. Tons of dirt on the inside of the track. And yeah, I think his mindset here at the beginning of the race was just to keep it cool, you know, see where he ends up, see where he shuffles after this first lap and go from there. So not too aggressive, just taking it calm, protecting himself, going to the inside here of turn 7. And then we'll go to the contact here in turn 16, the corner where these drivers are taking the attack mode. Honestly, I don't think this move was ever on. He was so far back from the Porsche in front, Pascal Wehrlein. Yeah, I don't even think Pascal saw him coming. You know, you'd never expect a driver from that distance to go for a lunge, but you heard Cassidy say, you know, he had that extra energy, and it's very easy to get ahead of himself and try to go for those positions and trying to use that energy. And we can go back here. You can see he lost steering as soon as that front wing dropped. It touched his wheel, and then, yeah, just lost steering, had to go straight, reverse to the pit lane. I'm sure he's going to be looking forward to Portland, USA in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Ollie. Fascinating stuff. Well, Nick Cassidy goes down in the championship standings, but a man who goes up to second is joining us now in the studio. Jake Dennis, second place in the championship standings by 1 point. This is unbelievably close now.
Yeah, really close. Yeah, really good day in the office today. I think we honestly maximised everything from qualifying to the race. Yeah, it was just maybe the second tap mode we didn't quite nail, but ultimately we came second to the fastest car, so Max did an incredible job. I think we did almost the best job as well, and to come home with 19 points, getting the fastest lap is super important.
And this is a different Jake Dennis. The one who was sat here yesterday was shattered and a little bit frustrated. It's still the same position, but a different guy.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I just felt a little bit hard done by, whereas today was a genuine P2. Obviously it helps beating your main rivals, but I just felt ultimately the race was a bit cleaner. We performed better as a team, and when you know you've left nothing on the table in terms of yourself and the team and the car, like, you can go home a happy guy. And if you still haven't come out on top, then at least you know you haven't left anything on the table, and I think we did that. So recoup, back into my training regime, and yeah, come back swinging for Portland as well.
Are you letting yourself dream about it?
Say again?
Are you letting yourself dream about picking up that trophy at the end of the season?
No, not yet. I mean, I need to focus on Portland, home race for us, so it's a really, really big race, and yeah, we just focus on getting the job done there. You only really have one chance. It's a single header, new track for everyone, so yeah, we just need to do our homework on the simulator and yeah, make sure we hit the ground running.
Jake, thank you very much for your time. Massive congratulations, and we'll see you in Portland.
Thanks, guys.
It really was a special performance there from Jake Dennis. He looks like such a confident man, it has to be said. We're going to see if we can possibly bring in Mitch Evans, who's currently behind the camera. We're going to check if he's there. Mitch, you fancy coming in for one question? He's currently in third place after that. Mitch, superb race. You gave your all to that. What does it mean to you to be back in the stands after yesterday?
Look, I'm happy to get a podium. A bit of a mystery in the race. Normally, you know, the race pace is our strength, and so I'm taking the limelight right now. Sorry, man. Yeah, just a bit of a mystery. It was really inefficient and no pace. Strange. I mean, to be honest, the whole weekend's been strange for us, but I was a roadblocker there and I hung on and got a podium, so I'll be happy with that. Mitch,
class stuff. And finally, Max, perfection. It was beautiful all weekend, and to end it with a win, you must be so happy.
Yeah, I'm over the moon with this one. Just so happy and proud. You know, we showed so good progress over this season. The momentum has changed a few races ago, and yeah, now to win here with 2 pole positions, it is just a great feeling. Yeah.
Congratulations, amazing job. I hope you keep this great pace to the end of the year, and amazing turnaround of games, and good job of this whole team.
It was, Max. We're going to see you in Portland. Hopefully he can do the business once again, because the next time we'll see you will be on the 24th of June in Portland, USA, in Oregon, the home of Nike. And as for people like Max, Mitch, Jev, Cassidy, Dennis, it's all about one objective: just do it. We'll see you then.
Lights out, Formula E is underway. Here goes Jake Dennis from the outside. Oh!
Nato now coming past both of them.
Max Günther comes through, take victory.